But that's why I tell people, to all the artists that's listening right now, like, when you make good music, you don't got to be a microwave artist. Like, you make very good music, you don't have to.
I don't know if I agree with you on that.
You don't have to.
Because that only works when you're already at a Kendrick level, right? If you are an up-and-coming artist that drops an album every 3 years, you could just forget about it. It's not going to work. I don't care how quality it is. If you don't have the fan base to rush to pick that up, you have to do like a Future and keep dropping shit all the time.
It depends, right? It depends on how you market. Like, and I could use one specific guy that you might not know of and a lot of people might not know of. There's a guy named Salt. He used to be at Venice Beach. He dropped one album and he's probably like 2 million copies sold. Salt. Venice Beach Salt. You might not know of him. He don't have too many online numbers, but he sells a CD outside of Venice Beach. He's probably been selling the same CD since 9-5. Like, this is a fact. Big Bluff black dude. I don't know if you can find him. Salt, Venice Beach, CD. Promise you. Bro, sometimes it ain't about like the streams or the sales. Sometimes you can still get in the field with it. So it just depends on how you pushing as an artist. But I'm just saying, like, when you make good quality music that's not based on like one night stands, then you don't have to make one night music. Some of that stuff might sit, man. A lot of this, like, I ain't gonna lie. I could always go back to a Jay album. I could always go back to a Kendrick album. Mm-hmm. I could always go back to a Royce album, an Eminem album. I could always go back to these albums. I can't go back to some of that other stuff that I'm never going back to D4L. Ever. Ever. You get what I'm saying? Like right now, would you shake that Laffy Taffy? No. If it came on in the club and I had a shot or two, I might.
Saying, but you're also talking about dance music.
But I'm saying,
dance music never really. Well, then again, I don't know. You go back to some disco shit. That's
it
still
might,
hot.
It might hit. But I'm saying, it's just certain stuff that you're not going back to.
Yeah, I mean,
it was dope. It was
at the
dope
moment.
At the moment,
and it's also almost like a capsule of your life.
Yeah.
When you think about that, you think about everything else that's going on. You think about the clubs that you danced to, the girls you met.
It was dope at the moment.
At the moment,
it's just certain stuff you're not going to go back to, but. Like a good music, you'll always go back to, no matter what. Like, let's say oldies, like certain oldies, certain samples or whatever. Like it's gonna hit.
Mm-hmm.
Like what's that? Loving you, That's that. It feel good no matter forever. It's a good record, a dopely produced record. So I would say that, like, just as far as the artist, man, like, and via shouts out to Young Thug. Like, Young Thug even said this out his own mouth. Like, he was telling when his nephews or something, like, no, don't make music like me. Make music like Cole and all them niggas. Make good music. Don't do what I'm doing. But that's why, certain niggas got to keep dropping. And it's the fucked up part about it. The same fans that fuck with you when that shit hot, when it die, they crucify.
Right.
Like, didn't what's the name just delete his Twitter from getting crucified?
Roddy Ricch?
Yeah. Those are the same people that loved him.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the fucked up part. And I'm not saying.
I mean, look, or you look at like a Cordae whose second album really didn't do that first week sales. Like, did like pretty like 20 or 30,000 first week when his first album I thought was brilliant. But the reality is, when you talk about music, is that
I'm gonna tell you.
Let me just say this. When you talk about music, the first album usually represents about 5 years of work. Mm-hmm. This is, gearing up to your first major label debut. Yeah. You've been working on this every day for years and years and years. And finally, you're taking all the best parts of everything you've done over the last 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
And you put it all together. And everyone's like, oh, this is great. And the label's like, oh, yeah, do another one, a year later. Yeah. 1 year later, that means that 9 months later, you got to be totally done with what took you 6 or 7 years to do before.
Yeah, I agree. That can most definitely play into it. I also think people not understanding the times we're in. We're in like whole different times, man. Like, people attention span is like.
Well, right. Because when you and I were growing up, we had to save up our money, and go down to Tower Records.
Yeah.
and buy that album that's dropping on Tuesday and spend $15, and you hope that the rest of the album is good because you've only heard one song on the radio.
One song.
Right, one song off that whole thing.
You don't even know the track list.
You're praying that the other 13 songs are decent.
Yeah.
You know, and you sit there and you drive around with it, or you listen to it at home, and you open up the paper and you're reading the track listing and the producers and the liner notes.
Even the booklets.
You know, and you know you don't have... You know, I mean, I didn't grow up like poor, but, you know, like my parents still, you know, like didn't have a lot of money. So it was like I could afford maybe one album a week. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not like I'm going to buy 5 other albums. If the first one was whack, you got to make it work. You got to listen to it and try to like some of the songs that maybe initially. Now it's like,
next,
I got my Spotify.
I have click of a button. Next,
30 million songs. So it's just, if I don't like it in the first 2 seconds, fuck this whole artist and this whole album for life, and I'm going to go on to something else. And let's see what Spotify sends my way based on the algorithm of what it thinks that I want to listen to.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's totally, there's no liner notes. There's no physical copy of it.
Yeah.
You know, you don't listen
robotic.
to, you don't really spend a lot of time with one project because there's so many other projects that are dropping within the next couple of days that you probably want to check out as well, which kind of pulls you in. And it's all free because you've already spent your $5 that month.
It's
a different experience.
It's most definitely. But I just think, like, you know, in regards to, let's say via Cole, via Jay-Z, or via, you know, any of those 3 bigger artists, I think where they maintain the level that they are is because they can take the time to say, hey, I want to make quality music. And when it's like, all right, I'm eating chips. Oh shit, a steak. Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta prepare for this. Right. And I think that's why I hit. But, you know, a lot of people today, they not really artists. Like, I feel like Jay is an artist. I feel like Kanye is an artist. I feel like Cole. I was in the studio with Cole for 20 some hours watching him, like, really, like he's very tedious. Like, yo, I don't like that snare. I don't like the end of that snare. I don't like the reverb on that shit. Like, take that. Like, he's tedious, very tedious. Those are artists. Those are real musicians. Like, right? The rest of these people are fans. A lot of these people are fans. They're like, oh, I could do that. Let me try it.